What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Yesterday, we did have that Pokemon Presents that was certainly geared towards Pokemon fans, but I'm sure many people are wondering about any new video game announcements that happened there. Well, I went through and recorded everything that at least was shown, and we'll go over all of that, as well as a new Switch 2 bundle that was announced, so we'll take a look at that. We're also going to be talking about Stop Killing Games as the situation continues to get more and more serious by the day for this entire initiative, even getting to the point where big companies are taking notice and responding, and even anonymous sources are trying to shut the whole thing down. And then we also have a surprising horror game that was announced, certainly not one that I thought we'd see, certainly not the type of game either. All of that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or link in the description down below. And every weekday morning, we're here 8 a.m. Eastern time talking about the world of video games, trying to keep people up to date on gaming news. So check us out in the morning. We'll be here each weekday. We're going to start today, though, with the PlayStation 5 and 8K. Okay, well, the PlayStation 5 Pro and 8K, as there is a game coming up that is going to attempt this resolution. And you can see the trailer. It's a trailer here. It's billiards. Well, pool. To be more specific, Pure Pool Pro. So the idea here is they're shooting for not only 8K, native 8K, with no upscalers like PSSR being used, but also 60 FPS at that resolution. Now, the base PS5 will run at 120 FPS in native 4K. I thought it was interesting they're not going to use any kind of upscaling techniques or anything. Although, you look at the game, and even some of the quotes around the developers for this, they do kind of say, hey, it's a pretty controlled environment. I mean, we're mostly just showing a pool table with pool balls and stuff. I mean, they're very reflective. It looks photorealistic, I guess, but it's not, say, a big open world game like Horizon or something running on the PS5, so it's very controlled, and they're able to pull this off. No 8K, though, on the base PS5 is interesting, since Sony did launch, I know, with the 8K badge on the system, but then they did quietly remove it after some time, and here you go. You just need the PS5 Pro, apparently, for 8K. Also, we did get the release date for Borderlands 4 on the Switch 2. This over on their official account, where they say Borderlands 4 is coming to Switch 2 on October 3rd, 2025. So just, a couple of weeks after Borderlands 4 releases on other platforms. Not too far off. People were concerned if it was going to come out in 2025. Might end up being delayed into next year. So not waiting to say a Nintendo Direct, maybe to make the announcement there. In this case, though, they are trying to line it up with the other versions of the game, other consoles, to where it will have crossplay enabled. They'll support 4-player online co-op. And then Randy Pitchford is pretty upfront when it comes to the performance, as someone did ask, is this going to be 60 FPS? And he mostly said, nah, it's going to kind of default around 30 FPS, and it will have some dips in more challenging environments, say, at the game, with a lot more action happening. So at least it's just being upfront about that. But there you go. Look towards the first week of October for that Switch 2 release with Borderlands 4. Oh, and we do know now when the big debut reveal trailer will be for Battlefield 6, as it's actually scheduled now over on YouTube. In fact, they have like a quick teaser animation trailer going on right now, and they have it slated for, it looks like it's, 24 hours or so. It's gonna be July 24th, 2025. All right, they have, again, a countdown going on currently. So we'll look towards then, I guess, for that to go live. I'm trying to figure out exactly how much they're going to show in the reveal trailer, and then how much they'll be following up with more information and gameplay from different influencers and people online, press and media, that will kind of come through with additional content around this. But people are very excited for this. There were thousands of people hanging out waiting for this quick reveal trailer. So 2042 did not go over well for them, obviously. And I am curious if they kind of took a lot from that and really are looking to, I don't know, again, not take their final swing at Battlefield. Clearly, there's a lot of pressure to get this one right. So an open beta coming up, other things, looking towards the community. Some have actually said that we could see this game coming out before the end of this year, although I'm still thinking maybe first half of 2026, especially just kind of based on how things are going and them sort of still being in this testing phase. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with that Pokemon Presents that went for about 24 minutes, and there was the question around, could this have been an email? Well, I think most of these shows could just be emails, since they're, for the most part, just advertisements and commercials that are smacked together and they just show off different video games. I think the right question is, should this have been an email? And the answer to that for me is yes. I mean, I looked back at it, I said there wasn't a lot here that was impactful there was a lot there, as they did reference a ton of different games with updates, and even a couple of newer things, as well as, again, a bundle with the Switch 2, Nintendo's big new generation, the first holiday really with the bundle to tie everything together. But let's start from the top, and that's with 2025 Pokemon World Championships. That's August 15th to the 17th in California. So hey, if you're big into Pokemon, seems like they're expecting 20,000 some odd people to come out to it. Seems like a good time for big time Pokemon fans there. And they went to Pokemon Concierge. That's new episodes coming to Netflix September 4th. Pokemon Tales, The Misadventures of Sirfetch'd and Pichu. Stop motion animation series that's coming in 2027. Then we have Pokepark Kanto. This is an outdoor Pokemon attraction. Seems to be part of an amusement park in Japan. The grand opening they're aiming for early 2026. Pokemon Go Fest Max Finale is August 23rd to the 24th. They had an update on Pokemon Masters EX, as I mentioned. Some of these updates were very quick, as in a minute or less. So they were rapid firing some of this stuff to fit it all within 24 minutes. That then went into Pokemon Cafe Remix. It's getting a Lapras in its 5-star Sea Captain outfit starting July 23rd. Finally, Pokemon Sleep gets new legendary Pokemon on September 2025. Pokemon Unite celebrating its 4th anniversary. It has Latios and Latias. Those are being added. The Pokemon trading card game, the Mega Evolution Packs, release Friday, September 26th. Can't wait to see the clips out of Costco for people fighting in line over that. We have Pokemon Friends. There's quick puzzles. You earn Pokemon for your room, and it's free on phones. I noticed, though, it's $10 on Switch. It says free to start on phone, so I haven't checked it out there. One of the kids wanted this, and I thought, you know what? At least it's like puzzle and kind of brain teaser stuff. Okay, so I get it for him for $10, and I mean, it's very simplistic. They have a ton of DLC. I saw this, I said, hold on a minute here. There's a bunch of DLC on the Switch that adds up to an additional $26. So the game in total is $36. They say there's 1,200 puzzles, but I'm telling you guys, I was looking at some of these puzzles as the kids were doing them, and they're pretty easy. I think the WarioWare puzzles are slightly longer, and it was like connect the dots, move this out of the way, jump over some barriers. Is pretty it's obviously geared towards a younger audience here. Anyway, as they go through, they get yarn, which they then turn into different Pokemon figures for their room, and that's kind of it. You just sort of decorate the room. You'll trade some duplicates to people in town, build friendships there. So there is like an underlying game to it, but for the most part, it defaults to these mini games they take 5 to 10 seconds for most of them. All right. Anyway, it's out now. It's on the Switch 1, and on mobile phones. Again, let me know in the comments about the mobile phone version. It said free to start. I'm really unsure as to how much content that even comes with, though. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, there's Terra Raid Battles. Those are starting July 23rd. It's also a tracksuit apparel item through Mystery Gift. Pokemon Champions, you get to recruit Pokemon to battle. It's playable on mobile phones and Switch. Pretty much reminds me of Pokemon Stadium. I guess just more widespread here to a much larger audience through phones and Switch. Coming 2026, though. Pokemon Legends ZA, this was kind of the big closeout for them, and there really wasn't, there was new information, but again, it wasn't anything super impactful. I don't think it sold anyone more on the game, but they showed it again as they make their final push towards October 16th when it comes out, and they showed off a Mega Dragonite evolution where it has like a Dragonair tail and then it got wings on its head. All right, anyway, it's coming out Switch and Switch 2, again, October 16th. I did notice that they have now transitioned this game over to be marketed alongside the Switch 2. Remember when we first saw this game, they showed it to us with the Switch 1 logo at the start of the trailer. Here, they start off the trailer with the Switch 2 logo, and then we find out after the presentation that there is indeed a bundle that will have a Switch 2 system and Pokemon Legends ZA together for $500. So it's going to be replacing that Mario Kart World Bundle, meaning that this Pokemon Legends ZA game will be $50 if you buy it that way. Now, the Mario Kart World Bundle ending isn't surprising. Nintendo already told us that would happen around the fall, and this seems to just slot right in then. And it makes me wonder if, one, this is their big holiday bundle, it's Pokemon, kind of makes sense to align the Switch 2, their newest system that they are trying to sell constantly because they have to rebuild that install size and they're trying to keep pace with the Switch 1, and that's going to be tough when they get to year 2 or 3. But for now, put the new Pokemon game next to it. make it $500, replace Mario Kart World, have it set up for the holiday season, and it should do very, very well, sure. But it also makes me wonder if this is kind of their thing. Are they always going to have a $500 option for the Switch 2 throughout most of the generation? So when this Pokemon Legends ZA bundle ends, will they then have another bundle that will slot in as a $500 offering next year? Like to start off, say, 2026, maybe they have a game that's lined up and they're just going to go ahead and put it with the Switch 2 and just continue that sort of momentum, and also hold on to that $500 pricing tier. Either way, this, to me, if you're already going to get Pokemon Legends ZA and you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to get Switch 2, and that's going to be the game that sells me on it because you're a big Pokemon fan, and, I mean, Scarlet and Violet run significantly better. Like, that's how it should have run from the start, but now it just runs way better on the Switch 2. Yeah, it's probably the move. Pick it up that way rather than spend $70 on the Legends ZA and then a Switch 2, clearly, for $450. But we'll see how that works out for Nintendo. I mean, from a business angle, makes sense. For me, I'm looking at Legends ZA as looks okay. But again, I'm not like really in the trenches for Pokemon. At this point, I'm just like waiting for that Metroid Prime 4 release date. And it sounds like, based on even some recent comments from Nate, maybe that Direct is next week. And maybe that's where that Metroid Prime 4 release date finally gets unveiled. But we'll see, at least for now. October 16th, Pokemon Legends ZA coming out for the Switch and Switch 2 along with a bundle. Next up, let's talk about Stop Killing Games, which is an initiative to have companies stop killing off games. Games, for example, that have these online requirements, even if it's one that could probably operate in an offline environment. This has been consistent for a good part of a decade now for different titles. And at this point, just kind of ask them, hey, I bought this game. Let's not retire it, sunset it, and then basically make this $60 or $70 purchase worthless in my library. Well, now we're starting to get responses from different publishers because there have been more than 1.4 signatures that have been collected here. So this is going to be a thing in front of lawmakers and other people. And now, one example, Ubisoft has responded. This from the CEO, Yves Guillemot. We can see this transcribed over on VGC. This with their investors saying, so this is an issue that we've been dealing with, but this kind of issue is not specific to Ubisoft. I mean, for that part, they're correct. There's many publishers out there that this is going to apply to now, present, past, and even future. All video game publishers are faced with that issue. You provide a service, but nothing is written in stone, and at some point, the service may be discontinued. Nothing is eternal, and we are doing our best to make sure that things go well for all players and buyers, because obviously, support for all games cannot last forever, but that's an issue that we're working on. That's something that the industry at large is working on to minimize impact on players, but clearly that's something you need to factor in. Okay, so first of all, Ease here is talking about the idea of like support constantly going forward forever, and that's not at all what Stop Killing Games is asking for. We're not like, so let's say Ubisoft had The Crew. The idea was, hey, instead of taking The Crew offline, make it so it has an offline mode and people can just drive around even in their cars or do peer-to-peer or private servers. We understand that, look, there's going to be a timeline for some of these games to be officially supported. The idea is just don't take it offline and kill the game. That's it. You don't need to stick around forever with that. Eventually you move on maybe to a sequel or something else entirely in the racing genre. So it's kind of arguing against something that's not exactly being presented here. And it gets a bit stranger now because, I mean, this shouldn't be shocking since none of the publishers want this. This is just going to make their job more difficult, more expensive. So take a look. This is a video that was posted. This is from Accursed Farms. We're also over there. It says, the industry filed false claims against the Stop Killing Games initiative. I recommend everyone watch this video because this is something that I figured was going to happen. Like, there's going to be pushback. There's going to be resistance. This is kind of serious, though, I will say. So some of the claims seem to point, for example, trying to allege that Ross is getting paid X amounts of dollars for his time and he's not reporting the investment. It is wild. He explains it here very well in this 20-minute or so video, so definitely check this out. But I'm telling you, this is just the start. This is going to be a long process, all right? And with how much pushback there is going to be from companies that are worth hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, it's not going to let up anytime soon. Now, it's an anonymous source that made this report, this claim, so hard to say exactly where it's coming from. It'd be really strange if it was some person out there, a gamer out there, somewhere who's like, man, these games have to die. I can't have these $70 games working in my library. That would be strange. I guess it's not impossible. So in this case, though, yeah, you kind of think, okay, which publisher did this? But for now, it's anonymous. We don't really know who, so keep that in mind, though. It's gonna be a long road for Cursed Farms, who is doing their best to try to support this initiative. They're not even technically part of it, as they show in their video. They're just kind of there, like everyone else for the most part, trying to push this thing forward. Just, yeah, spending a bit more time clearly being dedicated to the craft of just trying to rack up signatures and get it in front of people who can make the serious decisions and make some real change. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a surprise horror game reveal. Certainly one that I wasn't expecting, because I kind of thought Saber Interactive was going to show up with their Jurassic Park Survive game. Instead, they show up with a new Hellraiser game. And it's not a multiplayer. I'm so used to these horror games like Friday the 13th or whatever, just being these asymmetric horror games, and Hellraiser certainly would fit that mold. Not the case, though. Not what they're going with. So they have a trailer. The trailer is something that YouTube would not be happy with. I was looking through it and I said, yeah, not something they're going to be excited to see. I'll show some screenshots and stuff as we go with this, because we have some information around the publisher and the developer and stuff. So let's start from the top here. It is the first true Hellraiser game. There was one on the NES, I believe, that was canceled. Even then, there was, I think, something else that was planned. But for the most part, even Saber and them, they've recognized this as the first real Hellraiser game, called Clive Barker's Hellraiser Revival. Its publisher is Saber Interactive. The developer is Boss Team Games. Boss Team Games, their previous projects, Evil Dead the Game, Halloween, Ash vs. the Evil Dead. It's a single-player survival horror action game. Again, I was kind of expecting a multiplayer game. No, it's single-player survival. They show some footage of it, and it's like this first-person horror-style game. Very gruesome, very violent, as you expect from a Hellraiser-style game. They're bringing back the actor Doug Bradley, who's going to voice Pinhead in the new game, reprise the roles. So that's awesome to have something, again, true to form of the movies. And when I'm watching this gameplay, I did think, oh, okay, it's first person. We just talked about that with Avatar. I think first person horror games make a ton of sense, something like Outlast, because you want to be up close and personal. Like, I know that's something that has gone back and forth even in the Resident Evil community. However, that really was the thing that was always known as third person. Okay, now we're moving to first person. Something like this, I think, makes a lot of sense with that first person gameplay that they were showing here. But yeah, it looks super violent. No release date, though. Currently in development for PS5, Xbox, and PC. I'm very happy, though, that they decided to go with a single... It's weird that we're to this point. It's like, oh, it's single player. Okay, cool. All right, cool. And it's like this survival horror action game. All right, it's not a multiplayer live service game or something. So definitely gonna keep my eye on this one. I liked some of the things they were showing. Some Outlast vibes there, but for the most part, Hellraiser vibes. And that's kind of what you would want here. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, give the Pokemon Presents a grade. All right, well, D is 58%. I couldn't put F there. YouTube only lets me have 4 options, and I have a feeling it probably would have been a lot of F ratings too. 28% said C, so wow, 86% said C or less. 11% though said B. 3% said A, and it was a lot of this could have been an email comments. Trust me, I was reading through, I'm like, yep, a lot of people were thinking they could have skimmed through this thing in a minute or two if it was just an email with bullet points, and for the most part, I agree. That's also from my perspective, and I'm sure many other people's perspective who are watching this video, who weren't going in hoping to hear about the next Pokemon mobile game, the next Pokemon TV series or something. There are people who are very, very invested, clearly, in Pokemon, so when they hear release dates for certain updates to the games, I'm sure they're genuinely excited. But when I go into this knowing that yesterday, people were posting up images of all the Game Boy games going NSO, I know disappointment is on the way. And yeah, it was. But really, they also announced this Pokemon Presents way in advance. It was like a month or so. It was strange, right? So this is what they show up with. It was strange all the way around. But hey, there's a new Switch 2 bundle coming up, so there you go. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Gemology Plays, saying, the LinkedIn guy must be a marketing genius. His resume is everywhere now. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. I mean, it's a good thing because if you're trying to get people to look at your resume, that's a great way to do it. Just say you're doing you worked on an unannounced Switch 2 sequel, and you're off to the races. On the other hand, though, if you're a publisher, you go, oh, wow, they put that in their resume. What does that mean for us if we bring them in on a 4-year project and then they leave halfway through? Are they going to put in their resume that they're working on this unannounced sequel for Square Enix or something, right? Like, that is obviously a consideration, but hey, in a world trying to get jobs all over the place, that's a good way to at least get your resume in front of people. Also, it's really funny that LinkedIn has become such a big source for gaming. And back in the day, it was like, okay, what are different leakers and stuff saying? Like even before the time of social media, as you take the forums, now it's like, hey, what are people saying on their resumes? What will that tell us about Nintendo's sequel for their tactical role-playing game? I don't know, you refresh the page and there it is. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card, or maybe you want to hear more about a crazy story where a person could be facing jail time based on ROMs that they got with some of the devices that got shipped in and they reviewed them on their channel. I'll leave that in a video right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.